Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Image Circle Podcast, Episode 4. Today I am joined by a professional photographer, Mr. Darrin Hackney. Say hello to the cameras, Mr. Hackney.
Hey, everyone.
Today we are going to be talking about people not wanting to learn correctly, specifically photographers. Me and Darrin Hackney have a little bit of a history of, we've had some conversations in the past and some kind of shared frustrations on this particular subject. So that's what we're going to get into today. But first, I want to get to know Darrin a little bit. So we're going to jump into the lightning round. Question number 1, full-time, part-time, or hobbyist?
I am a full-time photographer.
And your main kind of thing that you make money from is?
So I'd like to say I like to shoot people for a living. And so honestly, anything people related. I am really leaning on commercial photography right now. So a lot of headshots. I'm still photographing weddings. I am still photographing portraits, whether that's senior photos or couples photos. I did cut out families, babies, and maternity. I had to cut out a category. I was just too busy. And it's just not fun for me chasing kids.
Yeah,
I'm old. I don't chase kids anymore.
Well, I'm young and I don't want to chase kids, so I don't ever plan on having any of my own. So, question number 2: do you want that to change? Like, do you at some point I guess that's kind of hard. So that's more of for like the hobbyists. Do they want to go full time? So I guess I'll ask: do you wish you had more time to just kind of do the stuff you want to do?
So here's the thing: what's the beauty of what I do is I can control my schedule. So if I want to take a week off, I just close out my calendar, and just when people call or inquire, I'll let them know the next date. My background, honestly, I was in the bar industry, nightclub industry, hotel industry. I did that for 35 years. From the day I turned 21, I was in the bar industry. And so all these places I worked at, I always had to ask off if I wanted a Friday night off, or if I wanted a week off to travel somewhere, or if I had PTO, I guess. Things like that. And now I don't have to ask.
Right.
If I want to go see Duran at the Red Rocks on a Monday
right.
night, I'm going.
Right. I mean, you're your boss.
I am my boss, and I had the money, I had the time. Time is the big thing for me.
Right.
What I also realized in the bar business, I worked a lot of 16-hour days from open to close. I worked a huge amount of my adult life. And so when I left, and I was the GM of Heroes back in 2011. So when I was leaving to go full-time into photography, my accountant, he looked at me, he goes, "You stand to lose a lot of money," because I was a salaried manager, and I'm going into a position, into an area that I'm going to make what if money.
Yeah.
Because the only thing I know I'm going to make is if you have a package in October, your wedding's in October, I know the package you selected, and I know how much you're spending with me. So I know that money. But in the month of July,
you have no idea.
I have no idea. Other than I hit the pavement, I keep working, I keep generating interest, and hopefully the phone, keeps ringing, or the email keeps, sending me inquiries. But the thing is, time freedom means more to me right now than actually money. Because as I jokingly will say, as I slide into home plate, I never know when that day is. We never know. But have I minimized how many regrets I have? Because what I'm honestly focusing on now is saying yes to more things. Yes to more trips. Yes to more spending time with people. And I didn't have that opportunity in a salaried position or working for someone 9 to 5.
Right.
And so, like I said, I'm enjoying where I'm at, and I'm not really looking for anything to change unless something crazy drastic happens in the photography community, or cameras all fall apart for whatever reason. I don't know. I can't predict that. But I'm enjoying the path of destruction I'm on now.
Well, that's cool that you're in a spot that you're like happy with. So we kind of went over like the genres that you shoot professionally, and so I'll skip that one. But what's your guilty pleasure shoot? Like whenever you need to not work with other photographers, maybe just work one-on-one with the model, or what is the thing that like I need a break to do other photography for me?
I still will enjoy some landscape photography. Love going out to Moab and capturing, I believe it's Dead Horse Canyon.
Sure.
Well, I know. I mean, I know where I've captured a picture there before. Corona Arch, the arches. Just Moab is great, but it could be anywhere. Like me and another friend, we went searching for U2's, the place where they photographed the album cover for the Joshua Tree. So we were in search of this Joshua Tree. And it was actually a fun challenge because there's no signs other than a Google pin. And so when we actually stopped, I go, it's out there somewhere. So what made it hard is in early 2000 is that tree had fallen. But there is a shrine that fans have put out there. There's a huge, I mean, it's bigger than your desk, that it's the album cover. I still haven't found what I'm looking for is around the edges. It's a huge bronze
That's
plaque.
beautiful because you can't find the tree.
But against the tree is drumsticks, guitar picks, sometimes guitars. I remember seeing in the Google reviews going, hey, it's a great place to get a free guitar. Leave it, dummy. But there's a silver suitcase that people will put their ticket stubs, notes. And I don't think U2 will ever read it, but this is just, it's for the fans. Mm-hmm. Like if you're a huge U2 fan, this is like the Mecca. This is boom.
That's the pilgrimage.
It pretty much is. And like I said, you can't see it. The only thing I know is when I got out of the car, I could see a little path of just footsteps in a sense. And it's not animal tracks. I'm like, I'm going this way. And my friend's like, where's the rattlesnakes? I'm like, I don't care. I'm just going. And I walked and also there it is.
Wow.
And so
your guilty pleasure is like landscapes, but definitely like you like the little adventure.
Absolutely.
Like a true, like get out of Kansas.
Get out of Kansas. Yeah. Get me in Colorado, put me on the side of a mountain. I mean, I'm on the edge of the cliff. I want to see down. I want to see.
God, I'm not.
I'm not scared of heights at all.
I am.
Put me next to the ocean, and I love seeing how expansive. Just look at this big marble we stand on. It just sometimes you just kind of step back and just take it all in.
Right.
And I like a good, mountain range, beachside, anything that just shows the expansiveness of where we are.
I need to get out. Like, there's a lot of places in Kansas that are worth shooting that I haven't even shot yet. But do you have a like a dream shoot, like a once in a lifetime?
I don't. No? I feel like I get to do a lot of things because I still will always photograph for me. Like I jokingly say, photography it's for me.
Right.
I'm having fun with it.
Right.
You just happen want to pay me sometimes.
Right. You're working. You're putting food on the table with your craft, but it's kind of like it's that thing like you don't work a day in your life if you love what you do. Right. I kind of disagree with that, but it is it's a lot easier to handle. Doing work that happens to be what you love if you already inherently love it. You know. It's not as miserable.
And there will be times where someone will ask me to photograph something, and I'm like, and I'll just. In my head, I'm like, I'll just take my toys and go home. It's my photography. It's for me.
Right.
Don't ruin it for me.
Do you get that? Do you get that a lot in like weddings and people are like, I want this, and you're just like, that's a little much. Like we're not going to Hawaii to do this, and so how do you think that this is realistically going to look in Kansas?
So what's funny is. And because of my bartending background, I was quick, I was witty, I was a smart ass, I'm ornery. I can't turn that off. Mm-hmm. But there'll be times at a wedding, someone go, hey, get a photograph of this. And I'm like, I'm good. And just walk away. They're like, who is this guy?
We've had the I'm gonna mark that down real quick because I want to circle back to that because we had a good conversation. I'm just gonna quickly write Darrin a delightful ass because I want to circle back to this because I totally agree with that. But okay, what do you think your greatest strength as a photographer is?
My keen ability to watch people. Like what I learned from behind the bar for 35 years is watching eyes. I can tell if you're mad, sad, glad, or if you're going to fight me. Your eyes say everything. And so I could watch from behind the bar. I could watch across the room. I could tell how bad this guy's line is because of the expression on her face. And these are all things. That's all feel. Everything is by feel. So I can feel what's around me as well. So if I'm having a good shoot, I can feel it. If I'm having where someone's nervous, I may have to figure out how to make them unnervous.
Right.
And where I just talk and just make them comfortable. Because honestly, in headshot photography, there's some psychology there. And what's crazy is I feel like I learned some psychology being a bartender, just studying people, that everyone says I don't take good photos. And when they're in front of me, there's people that are shaking.
Yeah.
That they're so nervous. Like, and I have to think, I'm like, how far back does this go in their head? Is this somewhere where they were 5 years old and their mom beat in their head that they were just worthless pieces of crap? I don't know. But I don't know. But I sit there and I talk to them. I get them to laugh. I get them to be comfortable. I'm not in a hurry to get through this, but I want them to walk away with a photo. And I've had a couple guys where there was a guy that used to come see me at Heroes. Him and another buddy would come and drink beer. Eventually, he needed a headshot. He was this worst case scenario guy, and he happened to have his wife with him, and he was just so nervous. Anyway, I just started cracking jokes.
You're right.
And talking about the old days of Heroes. So the whole thing is, even though we're at a photo shoot, he's not remembering we're at a photo shoot. We're talking about the times of Heroes, talking about the beers, talking about things like that. He laughed. I go, click.
Yep.
And he goes, you got it. He goes, no one has ever gotten a good picture of me. I'm like, well,
honestly, that's when I think like a lot of the magic happens is like that moment you could tell someone's nervous, but that moment that you can tell they forgot about the camera. That's when they're at their most natural, right? Because at some point they're going to get, okay, I'm more comfortable now, and then I've noticed that like some people will start to kind of they were underperforming, like as doing what they need to do for you to get a good picture, and then there's that short period of time where they forget about the camera, and you get that good work in, and then they maybe start like kind of overdoing it a little bit, and the smile gets too ridiculous and too unnatural. But there's that moment of time when they finally hit comfort that's where the really good stuff happens.
I mean, there was one time a long time ago, I just happened to have a tennis ball in the studio, and this guy had the laundry list of everything he didn't like. He had mustard on his shirt. He had this. And I threw the tennis ball at him. And he goes, what'd you do that for? I go, because I wanted to. And he started laughing and click. And he goes, you've got it. And, but the thing is, what I thought about, and I knew with this tennis ball, him holding it took him out of his head, and it's in his hand. Yeah. Just long enough for me to get the photo. And so sometimes you just have to get people out of their head.
You're pretty crafty, Darrin.
I am like crafty.
People are going to start like keeping tennis balls in their bags now.
You could throw stuff at them. I'm just kidding. Don't. But if you
can dodge a wrench, you can take a picture.
You can toss a ball to someone. I mean, it's not like I beamed it at him, 100-mile-an-hour fastball. But I just tossed it to him, and he caught it, and he's confused. Good. That's what I wanted. I wanted you from in here. Right. And that worked. That's pretty genius. But that's a one-time deal. I didn't do it again.
Yes, you're not going to be able to pull that off twice. No. Is there something that you can improve on?
I can always improve on something.
What's one thing that you know that you like know for sure that you could get better on, or maybe something that you're actively working on? Like I can tell you, like mine is posing on the spot. Like I plan a lot of ideas. But once I exhaust those ideas, if I'm having a hyper-productive shoot, then I'm like, I just ran through my ideas, and we've been at this for 25 minutes.
Right. I would say posing is still something that I constantly work on because, honestly, what I'm a big fan of, I like to see how the other person moves. And some people don't know how to move, and they need direction. So there's a little bit of push and pull, but I still want them to see how they can angle their body, how they can bend, how they can smile, whatever that is. I like to watch and then mold that so I can take like, okay, we got this. Let's move this. Let's do this. Still seeing what they're comfortable with. So there's some molding there, but eventually there's a point where it's the same thing, what they know. And they go some poses that they were either taught or something online that I'm like, what is that? The worst pose I think anybody ever does is this. Yeah. Don't do this pose.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
There's ways to do that. But if they just touch you, like grab your arm. What is that? That's not a pose. Right. That's not a pose.
I like that. I knew exactly. As soon as you did that, I'm like, I've seen that like 4,800 times.
Now it's like slug bug. You'll like see it and like, oh, Hackney talked about that.
Yep. Yeah, everyone's going to know. I guarantee everybody watching that does any paid work. They're like, oh, I've seen that pose before.
I know. It's like, I jokingly say that's like the worst pose ever.
Yeah. I think my least favorite pose, I think, is the one where the model, I could do it. If these were wide enough, I would do it for the audience. But it's the ones where the models put a hand on the hip and they cock their hip out to the side so far that it almost looks ridiculous. And then this one's like this, and it's like you kind of look broken. Like, and if you're it works if you have like an 85, but the second you go like 35 or wider, you know, then they start to kind of, like if you wanted a scenic portrait and they do that, like they start to kind of look abstract rather than, it's like a really wide.
But there's times you can have fun with it, especially with a 35 or even wider, like a 16, and get them bending and leaning down on you. You can get crazy. It just depends what your ultimate goal, what you're trying to deliver, or if you're shooting for a magazine, or if you're shooting, what are they looking for?
Right. What initially made you get into photography? Like, was it something you kind of always wanted to do and just didn't, or you just?
I had a buddy who got a hold of a Canon 20D, and I was playing with it. I was like, wow, this thing is fast. Because honestly, what I had was a Sony Cybershot, and I think they called it candy bar style.
Yeah.
And back then, when it was cool to wear carpenter pants, it fit perfect where the pliers would go. But even then, I wasn't taking photos. I just would carry it with me every now and then. But my thought was, man, I really want better pictures of my dogs. Because ultimately, the shot that I wanted was, if I give, and at the time it was Beagle number 2 from my college days. I've had 3 Beagles. If I give her a mouthful of peanut butter, and I just stand there and take a bunch of photos, can I get a shot of her what looks like she's just sticking her tongue out at me? And I did. I got it. It's framed. It sits by my TV. And it's that smoke and mirrors thing that I started really enjoying, that I wanted to look like she walked up and went,
Right.
But that's not what dogs do.
Sure.
But I wanted to create that illusion. And so we started a business together. We were called JDB Photography. And we worked it a couple years. But I kept having this burning desire. I want my name. I want to brand my name. Everybody knows me from bartending. And I couldn't shake it. I was like, well, can I start, my own name under the umbrella of us? And it's like, no, you got to close it down and do your own thing. And honestly, that's what I did in 2009. And so I still spent another 2 years managing heroes. And I'd always heard these things at workshops like WPPI and things like that, like jump and the net will appear, jump and your wings will appear. And I'm like, man, that's some of the hokiest shit I ever heard. But where they were right is when you're all in. And so I went all in. I jumped into the deep end, as they call it. I went full time into photography. And you fight. You fight to swim. You fight to stay alive. You fight to, work. That's where the wings appear. That's where the net appears. When you have your back against the wall and you're in the deep end, you swim. And I love that. But it pushed me. And it's still every year, it's a push. What can I continue to keep doing? What can I feel like I continue to just keep learning, trying something different.
Or like recently, like what do I have to take off the table, to do more of this other stuff that's either better for the business or better for you or better for, even if it's just simply for your patients, like you just simply don't have the patience, but you can't, that's something admirable. It's like you didn't get caught up in the fact that that's money that you're losing. You're just like, I simply don't want to do this. I'm doing fine with these other things. I'll take the crazy kids running around off the table completely.
Right. Well, and you don't want to be a jack of all trades either.
Yeah.
Because what is that? Master of none? Jack of all trades, master of none?
Yeah, you want to be a master of some.
So, and that's the thing is there's an analogy. So I have crazy analogies from over the years. But, if you go to a heart surgeon, you need your heart worked on. Do you also would like him to get your root canal while you're under? Because he's also good at that too. You're like, no, just you stay right here. Fix this.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is when you go to a specialist, go to someone that is good at what they do. So you could be good. Like I that's why I say I categorize people, because it is a broad category, but it's not so broad. I can still kind of keep it into headshots, some weddings, some portraits, some model fashion work. That's pretty wide, but still enough to where I'm not like not hireable, because they're like, well, what do I hire you for? What are you good at?
Right.
So
I'm good at people.
People.
Yeah, I'm good at people. That's kind of like how I see myself too. Like I enjoy doing like just about everything. Whenever I have to like get away completely, I like the shallow depth of field stuff. Taking one of my f1.2 lenses out and just getting this much in focus of a broader scene. I like that stuff. It looks really cool, especially in black and white on some metallic paper. That's going off course, but that's what I do for me. But I prefer to primarily just like work with people. I feel like people have the most variety, and I don't do any of the paid work anymore. If somebody asks me about a wedding, I generally throw your name out there. I'm like, yeah, call Darrin Hackney, find him on Facebook, send him your your contacts or whatever. Done that quite a few times, you know. 'Cause
Thank you.
I'm not doing weddings anymore. Like, I don't want to do weddings. Like, you can have that money.
I just came off of a weekend where I had a wedding Saturday, a 10-hour wedding Saturday, and then another 8-hour wedding yesterday. And my body's like,
Tired, dude. I bet you're beat.
But it's good. It's rewarding. And honestly, I've always looked at weddings from a bar standpoint because you get your people, they're getting ready. You get those doors open and you invite everybody in, just like in the bar. And you run the whole day by the seat of your pants. You're hoping everything works out good. And then eventually I'm surrounded by drunk people.
Yeah, that's exactly
Just like the bar business.
That's exactly how it goes.
So I've come at weddings from a bar standpoint of how I view the world. That's why I'm really good at candids, because I'm used to watching people do stupid crap every Friday and Saturday night. I can anticipate guys fighting because I can see their body language squaring up. I can anticipate that. If someone's, if we're on a party bus and there's a stripper pole in there, somebody's getting on it. I'm egging. Sure. I know which one the crazy one is, the crazy bridesmaid or the crazy groomsman. Someone's getting on there. I've gotten a dad to get on the stripper pole just because I'm egging them on.
Right.
But I'm doing it all in fun because when they get their photos back, oh my God, I forgot dad was twirling around on the stripper pole inside the party bus.
It's a candid. That's the shots that they didn't pay you for.
Right.
But that's why they're going to tell their friends like about you. You know, I've mentioned that before. Like, that's the reason on my YouTube channel I built like my perfect like wedding kit. And in that wedding kit is a 14 to 24, right? Something super wide, because I've actually seen a lot of like wedding photos where somebody doesn't get like a really wide dance floor shot, and I think that's cool.
Right.
And I think that's just one extra thing that you can provide. You know, like everybody like on the dance floor. You know, with the 14 millimeters, you can get literally everybody having a good time, and you just don't see that a lot. If I had a fisheye, I would literally get up on the ladder and do like a fisheye. You know. But never again. I'm not doing that stuff anymore. Just because we have some gear junkies out there. What ecosystem are you in, and like what are your primary cameras?
So my primary cameras are Sony. I have the A7R5, the A7 IV. I also have a Fuji X100V that I like to take to weddings with me, just because it's small, compact, and fun to just walk around. I can get better candids with that little thing because when I pull out the big camera, people have to pose.
Yeah.
I get this little thing. I'm doing what I call drive-bys. I'm like,
you just go stealthy with it.
And not all the shots work, but then when they do, they're fun. Yeah. And because I'm using a film simulation, so if I'm walking around with black and white, that's when I'm going to turn over, and I'll put it in the category called fun camera. You know, when I turn over the gallery, I'm not editing any of those.
Yeah.
I do have a GFX, dabbling with the medium format, the GFX 50S2.
Okay.
It's like, I jokingly, I don't know how old your group is, your audience, but I jokingly say it's like the Snuffleupagus walking through Sesame Street.
Everybody will get that one.
Okay, good. Because it's like, do. It shoots great.
Yeah.
It's not fast.
The images are beautiful, but it shoots at the speed of smell. Like, it's
pretty much
incredibly slow.
But it's fun. And and honestly, that's what I still love about photography is, man, this is fun. It's fun for me.
Right.
And I like all these little toys, little things. I've got lenses. I've got film lenses that I can attach to those and shoot manually. I mean, it's just, I've always just played.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best part. I think anybody, don't forget to play. If you got into photography, what's funny is people ask me, "What's your hobbies?" Photography.
Yeah. Yeah. People ask me what I do. Yeah, because I've been like a musician and I've played in bands for like a really long time. But once I got like crazy into photography, and honestly, like it started a lot like whenever I started my YouTube channel, and those two kind of came together. Then like I didn't do as much music, and shockingly, I'd never thought that I would have gone this direction because I love playing live music. I never thought I would get to a point where it's like I love something more than like writing music and playing in bands and stuff, Right. And so like when people ask me, it's like, well, what do you do whenever you go home? Like, I do YouTube. Oh, so you go to work? Yeah, it's a lot of work, but everything that I do on YouTube, it's talking photography, which I don't enjoy as much, but a lot of my content is going out and like testing something or shooting something or just doing a shoot. And yeah, it's work doing that, but the whole thing gets me out shooting, which I love doing. It allows me to edit, which I love doing. And it allows me to like put something out and like show people, which I love doing, which is why I have so many prints in my house,
Beautiful prints if you haven't seen. I love your black and white work.
Thank you. that's, for me, that's like the most important aspect of it, is like getting it out like this, like on paper. And so I get more of that whenever I actually go out and focus on shooting for myself. But there's been plenty of like this picture of Paoli here, rest in peace, Paoli. That was at the Sedgwick Park meetup that Carlisle Greer put together, you know, and that's absolutely printable. And so I did it on metallic paper. It's kind of hard to see behind the fan.
That fan's in the way. I'm like, the fan's going, will you want to look at this? No.
Yeah, the fan is oscillating like, no.
That's a little Mitch Hedberg
But
reference.
yeah, that's people ask me like what I do. I'm like, yeah, I shoot photography. They're like, what do you do all weekend? I'm like, I try to find people to shoot because that's what I want to do.
Right.
Like they're like, well, that sounds like a lot of work. I'm like, no, I don't do it for money. Like,
right.
You know? And so, and even when I was doing it for money, you know, there were certain shoots that I did enjoy doing, even though I was making some money. But,
right.
you know, I dedicated all my time to the YouTube, which is 100% me.
Right.
You know, just doing me.
Well, and there's some phototherapy to photography as well. For me, I found.
Yeah.
So when I was having an issue with, you know, a friend, and I was realizing this person was pushing my buttons, as I'm doing some photo walks, I found myself photographing buttons on a shirt, buttons on an elevator. And I was like, what are you doing? And then I realized I'm channeling. And then I said, okay, I'm going to be deliberate, because when I was also realizing that I'm going out on my own, I'm going with my name, creating my own business, that's a fork in the road for me. So what happened one day at lunch, a server happened to drop a fork and the garbage disposal got it. And so I pulled it out. I'm like, I'm using this. And I go north on Highway 81, almost to the Sedgwick, Kansas, what is it, 125th Street, somewhere out there. I want 2 yellow lines in the road, and I want a crack. I can stick that fork in the middle of it, and I want to take that photo.
That's your fork in the road.
That's my fork in the road. So if
love that.
you dig deep, 2009 deep into my Instagram, it's there.
I love that.
Still there.
I love that. Is there? Do you remember the moment? I've asked everybody this so far. Do you remember the moment in your photography journey whenever you finally realized, like, oh, I've kind of got this down? Like, there would have been a moment where you're like, I bombed that, and then finally a moment where you're like, oh, I think I might actually be pretty good.
Ooh, I don't know about an exact moment, but I would say in the early days, there was no YouTube. Yeah. I had a book called Understanding Exposure. I read it 5 times. I did not understand anything. What I ended up doing was just taking the camera, walking up and down Douglas, fiddling with the dials. And then also, I was a big fan of watching CSI on Thursday nights. And every now and then, there would be a back of the screen, camera image. And I'd pause my DVR, set my camera to those numbers, and take a photo. I'm like, oh, that's crap. I'm like, TV camera, so it's not real. But I was understanding, I'm like, these numbers mean something. And all of a sudden, one day it clicked. I'm like, oh, this is what 2.8 means versus f8.
Yeah.
Shutter speed versus slow. So I didn't really learn from going to the meetups back then, because the film guys that were at these meetups, and we would meet at Lawrence Photo when they were down on Douglas. And we used to have a PPA chapter in Wichita called GWAPA, Greater Wichita Area Photographers. But the film guys were mean as shit. Because I remember going up to this one guy, I go, hey, so what's the difference between this AV and TV button on my camera? He goes, how about you go read a book? How about you go to school? And I'm like, why are you being such a dick? I didn't understand it, but I get it now. Yeah. I was part of that new digital, I don't want to call it revolution, but that digital photographer.
Yeah.
We were coming to kill you film photographers.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they were making millions. You went to them for the photo shoot. You went to them to, for the prints, the albums, wall
They
art.
owned a monopoly on what they shot.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, you're not going to take this and print anywhere because I'm not going to give you the negatives.
Right.
It's like, if you want these printed, you go through me.
I was not getting any information from those film guys, but I did start hanging out with other guys who were wanting to share information. Here's what's in my bag. Here's, like, Eric Rydell was a key component from, me starting out. And I met him when I was managing Club Paradox, and he was hired by the owner to go around, take candid photos, and throw candy on the dance floor. Just that old grandma candy, just throw it on the dance floor. But I started asking him about photography, and he goes, hey, come to these meetings. And there's one night we stood out in the parking lot, what seemed like 3 hours outside of a hometown buffet out west. And he was talking about, we're lighting, we're talking about photography. And he goes, now, if you want to get into some lighting, it's kind of cheap, but they're really good. They're called Alien Bees. And so I bought some. So when I first started out, that's what I did a lot of my work on. And they were solid lights. Yep. They were cheap, but they worked. They worked really well.
I haven't even heard that name in forever.
No, like everybody's Godox, pretty much Godox these days.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't heard Alien in probably 10 years.
I just saw an ad for them too. Like they got this new other light. And I'm going,
really?
I'm like, I'm not switching everything over just to get this one. I'm like,
speaking of lights, man, we were talking about before the podcast started. We were talking about like how the ZF is like a fun camera, and talking about lights reminded me. Have you seen that lighting system now that you can get that looks like the Hasselblad cameras, like the C500s?
These little tiny little things?
Yeah. They're like this, and they look like the Hasselblad cameras, and they're like $1,000. I'm like, that's whenever fun goes too far. This is a cool look, but it's not even like lights have never looked like this. It's it's literally just like it's not a Hasselblad camera that was retrofitted. It's literally, it just looks like one. It looks like, the top down cameras, and they're outrageously expensive. And I'm like, I know they're not. I mean, they're significantly weaker than either of these,
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, it's this big. Like, how many watts are you getting in that? It's like a box.
Man, who knows?
It's ridiculous. But I mean, talk about just ripping people's cool factor off.
100%.
So last question before we get into people not wanting to learn correctly, and then I want you to explain this. Darrin, a delightful ass.
I'm curious where that's going.
I want to know if you have like a horror story that you can share. It could be a horror story from like a shoot, or a horror story like with a model or another photographer. Any kind of just like awful.
I would say, I mean, the only thing that really pops in my head is I had a headshot client and I could not make her happy. She had so much in her head that I just shut the shoot down. I said, let's just call it. And I can't do it. There's been times, I don't know, I can't really think of like, because I've seen grooms pass out at weddings. There was a dad that he showed up at a wedding. He had just gotten out of the hospital. He had jaundice. And, he seemed a little yellow. But here's where my horror came in, is when I went to do the groom shots, because the bride was still getting ready. I had my Alien Bee. When I hit him with a strobe, and I look at the back of the camera, he looked like I had taken a yellow highlighter to him.
Oh,
so
no.
His pigment picked up everything. I mean, I had that. I don't have a good poker face, so I guarantee I'm looking at the back of the camera going,
oh, no, yeah.
And
what year kind of would this have been? Because I want to gauge how good or bad Photoshop would have been at that time.
It was, so that's what's interesting. I'll get to that part second. So I want to say it was definitely after 2009, because I photographed their wedding, probably either 10 or 11, maybe 12. I kind of doubt that far. But he ended up passing away 2 weeks later.
Oh.
So here's the question, because they let me know, hey, can we have like 3 photos of Dad to use, at his funeral? And so I asked the question. I said, do you want me? I go, he's pretty yellow, like, highlighter yellow. Yeah. Do you want me to try to fix them? And they said, if you could. I said, absolutely. I didn't know how. I went and learned, watching some YouTube videos, because YouTube was finally around, how to turn someone peach, basically.
Oh, yeah.
From yellow. And I wasn't great at it, but it was enough that they go, thank you.
Right.
And it's just that big portrait, they put up front,
I had to learn something like kind of similar. It was over this past summer, and I went out. I was at the park here in Augusta, and the model showed up in like a neon red, and it was. I was specifically not shooting with my flash that day. It was for the video I was doing. I didn't want to. I didn't want to use flash. I wanted to show like what the camera and what this lens will do, and so there was no kind of control, and so that neon literally lit up like the under part of her arms. Yeah. It just like turned it into like the color of. I mean, it was just like glowing. It looked like it had been like painted,
Right.
And so I was like, I don't even know how to fix that because I've never had to fix that before,
Right.
you know? And so that's where I actually learned how to, in Lightroom, you can take like your color dropper and you can do a brush and you can actually kind of blend it. And it's a total pain, but it's better than having somebody's armpit that's like neon green
Right.
or neon red, you know? But I still run into stuff like that sometimes. It's like, oh crap, I actually don't know how to do this. You know, I've never run into this before.
Yeah. Yeah. Color correction is a fun monster to tackle.
Yeah.
And, you know, and honestly, you were mentioning a red, some things where I experienced red was churches that had the red carpet. And you get this hue of, you know, red on the bride, the hue of red. It's gross.
If Flash isn't gonna fix that either. I mean, if anything, it might make it a little worse, right?
No, it fixes it.
Does it?
Because you're working with the ambient light that's picking up that light off the carpet. So basically, that was her walking down the aisle because you don't use flash when they're coming down. So those churches have since replaced the red carpet. Because I was just in St. Thomas, and that was a red church.
I wonder if there's the fact that weddings are in there. I wonder if that has anything to do with the church being like, we need to change this carpet, because it like in the 90s, like every church I went to had that kind of carpet.
Well, a lot of people are gone to tile now.
Oh yeah.
For at least for down the middle, the runway.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's called. I've seen a lot of carpet these days, or not carpet, sorry, tile, versus the carpet that they used to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's just a thing they all, you know, put out a memo like, hey, go doing red carpet. Let's go tile.
So real quick, I wanted to make a comment earlier. I didn't want to interrupt. You were talking about like whenever you took the jump to like go out on your own, and I wanted to mention it's like you always take a risk like whenever you start a business. But generally, like most businesses that get started, you start with like some kind of product, some kind of like good idea, and it's like, we're going to make this and we're going to sell this. But like with photography, it's got to be even scarier because you're risking it all to like start this business that doesn't have a weekly paycheck. It's all based on, you know, how much you can hustle or who you know that can like kind of get you like word of mouth, you know, say, hey, my buddy just started he's a really good photographer, just started this thing. That's got to be like way scarier than just like starting a business. Like if I start a convenience store, you know you're going to get business, you know? Right. Or if you start a smoke shop or a vape shop, you know you're going to get business. But like if you start like a videography business or a photography business, you have no idea how much work you're going to get. Right. You know? That's got to be like, was that like pretty freaky, or were you just like, I'm just going to go for it?
Just going to go for it.
Right on. That's
so
bold.
So the thing that I realized, and I learned this early on in bartending, when I first started bartending back when I was in the 80s, when I turned 21, the old guys that taught me how to bartend, they taught me a couple things. But the main one was, how do I get money in my tip jar? And because, you know, there's tip jars next to me, you know, there could be a girl in front of theirs, there could be another guy in front of theirs. And so what do I have to do to get money in mine? Focus on mine. What value do I bring to the table? And so I just realized that just use my personality. And what's funny, I was super shy back then. And bartending just kind of brought it out. I mean, I was kind of ornery just around my buddies and stuff like that. Yeah. But there was something about being behind the bar. You've got this, kind of like me and you, we got this, you know, desk, this bar top between us. And I felt like I was on stage. And I was just ornery as shit. I had fun. And because I was having fun, people enjoyed, you know, just a break from their day, the mundane, you know, this and that. So they come in for a beer to get a break. Yeah. And, you know, and I was that guy, just not always ornery, but we'd have good conversations too. Yeah. Talk
a little smack, be funny, be witty, be entertaining, you know.
But I was also fast. I was also quick. If I knew what you drank, I'd have it out in front of you. I was one of those kind of bartenders. And because of that level of service, that carried into my photography. And that also carried with the word of mouth, because the word of mouth didn't take off right off the bat, because I'm like, hey, I do photography. And they're like, yeah, but aren't you a bartender? I'm like, I can do other things. Yeah. So there was a weird transition. So there's a group of people that either know me as a photographer only, still remember me only as a bartender or managing bars. And then there's people that remember me as both. And either wherever I'm at on my journey or wherever you remember me, I made an impact. And that's all I want to do, because did I add value to your day? And I will always just say that. In fact, that's something that's written in my shower. I use a dry erase marker to put it over in the corner. It just wrote, add value. Because if you're adding value to someone's day, you will get the word of mouth.
I like that. So on Darrin being a delightful ass, I've been dying to get to this.
I know. I'm trying to remember why we.
So we were at the Happy Acres thing, and once we finished that up, you had like a wedding coming up or something like that, and I just happened to mention I was talking about how people like you're trying to work, and like people at weddings like to come up. And they would like to come up to me and like talk and be like, "Hey, what kind of camera are you shooting?" I'm like, "I'm on the clock right now." And then you responded with like, I literally tell them to sit down." Like, and I was like, "What?" And I was like, "So like if somebody shows up with a camera and stuff like that, you're like, I literally tell them like, this is my shoot. Put your you said something like, put your toys away. Like this is my shoot."
So
and I was like,
I think I remember the story I told you about Steven. I was at Pathways out on 21st at Mays, and here's me, here's my second shooter, and all of a sudden there's this guy in a suit with a Nikon and a 7200, and I go, "Who's that?" Ask Megan. She's like, "I don't know." So I'm watching him, and I'm thinking, I know the rules. I know where I can go and can't go, and I'm thinking, this fool's going to step on stage. He's going to do something, and I'm going, mm-mm.
He's going to go where I'm allowed to go,
or that as well.
Yeah.
So he had finally made his way back in the Pathways in that middle part where you first walk in. It's almost like a little stadium. Anyway, there's a wall. He's leaning up against that. So I walk up to him. I go, "Who are you?" He goes, "What?" I go, "Who are you?" He goes, "Steven." I go, "Go sit down." And he's like, "What?" I go, "Go sit down." And he did. He mean mugged me the rest of the time.
The Z30, of course, is being a pain because it can't endure room temperature, which is why that thing will be gone as soon as the Z6 III calls to me enough. But anyway, so Steven was in your way. You told him, like, you said, "Who are you?" Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Huh?" And you're like, "Who are you?" And then he's like, "I'm Steven." And he said, "Sit down, Steven."
Go sit down.
Yeah, go sit down.
Yeah.
And so who did Steven end up, who was he? Was he just somebody?
So the couple were, they were athletes at Emporia State. One played softball. She played softball. He played baseball. He was a trainer. So he was thinking he was giving them a gift by taking photos.
Oh.
And so I have no problem saying sit down. I mean, there was a wedding I did out at Eberly Farms, and this was an uncle from North Carolina. He was a pilot, nice guy. But as the couple is getting ready to come in, he's right next to me, and he's hitting them with a hard flash. And I go, "Can you stop that?" And he's like, "What?" I go, "Turn your flash off or just go sit down." I go, "You're going to ruin my shot." Because I will get that shot where also that heavy ass flash, which I'm not ready for, and they will be blown out. So I have no problem.
I think you told me that story that same day. I think because I remember you talking about like somebody's flash, and you were like, "Can you stop that?" Now, what is the? I know the female version is they call them Aunt Betty's, right? Aunt Betty has a little rinky camera, and she's getting in the way of the hired photographer. What's the?
I think Aunt Nancy.
I've always heard Aunt Nancy works too.
I'm trying to think what it is.
I've always heard Aunt Betty and Uncle Bob.
Definitely an Uncle Bob, and in fact, there was a guy. I haven't seen someone be in my way in a while. Mm-hmm. Like bring a camera to a wedding. There was one recently, a couple weekends ago. He had a Canon with a 70-200, and I'm like rolling my eyes. I'm like, oh boy, mm-hmm. And he never got in my way. He was being respectful. Shot from his seat, which perfect. I don't care as long as you're not where, in my way, jumping in the middle aisle, trying to get my shot.
Right.
Because I will have sharp elbows and I'll help you get back.
This is sit your ass down.
Sit your ass down.
If they get in the way of your shot, they're paying you. And, your job is to make sure that you're giving them what they're paying for. And if some asshat is going to be in the mm-hmm. way, it is now your job to be like, "Hey, you are in my way.
Right.
And I'm getting paid for this. And it's not about my money. It's about the product that I am providing. Right. So get out of my way."
So that's the thing is if that person jumps in front of your camera and you miss the kiss and you have to go back to the couple like, "Your uncle so-and-so jumped in front of me." And they're like, but you still couldn't get it? They won't understand.
Right.
Like, why couldn't you step more to the right or whatever?
Right.
You still have to get it, but pivot. I mean, there was a wedding I photographed at Tallgrass outside up on the driving range. This was an outdoor wedding. And I'm in the back, and I'm getting ready to shoot the kiss, and a little Asian man goes, boop. He's right in the middle. And I'm crouched low. I rolled to where I'm next to the chair so I can still get the kiss.
Right.
Even though He was sort of in my shot. He was on this side. I rolled to get another angle. I still have to get it.
It's not your ideal kind of, composition because you have that perfect straight on. Now you gotta roll. So,
but I still got the kiss.
Right. Yeah,
So
you have to get it because you don't want to be that guy to be like, well, can we redo that?
But here's the thing. I have redone it because there's going to be times I honestly have missed. When I tell people, it's not hard shooting weddings, and but I'll miss something. I'm like, yeah, recreate it. So like the kiss, there's going to be times where I call it the preacher man. He's just standing there like, I'm like, dude, can you not be back there staring? I mean, move. But they don't. They just kind of stand there. Some of them will move, which is great. But I'll just say if there's a time I actually just missed it, because there's some couples will go, like, it's so fast.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's not a kiss.
Are you guys happy about this?
So I'll say, can we go back up to the altar, 3 seconds of your time, and then we're heading outside to get rose petals thrown on you, whatever it is. Yeah, absolutely. I go up, kiss, pop, 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 out we go.
Yep.
They won't know the difference when they get their photos at the end. They will not remember that we went up there for a whole 3 seconds.
Right.
And you have to understand that it is fixable. There's going to be shots that you will miss. If there's something that you can recreate, do it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, you definitely don't want to. There's things you can't create. You can't recreate. Like you can't recreate the exact moment that the best man eats shit over the table.
Right.
But the key shots. I never had to like reshoot. I mean, I definitely had moments where I didn't. I didn't really feel like the bride and groom liked each other that much because the portrait sessions were so hard. Mm-hmm. It was so hard. It's like, could you guys like. Could you guys just act like you like each other? They just didn't look happy. It looked like they were trying to get it done. Like, well, shit. Like, this isn't gonna be, like, especially like early on. Like, I wasn't real happy with the way the portraits turned out, and it was part of it was my fault not being experienced enough to get them to kind of perk up a little bit. But they're just. And I get it. I've never been married before, but there may be some level of, can we just get this done, get the family out of here so we can go on?
Yeah, there's sometimes they throw, they just like, okay, we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Do you want another fun example of delightful ass?
Yes, please.
So there was a time where I was putting some black gaffer tape over the logo, whether it was Sony, Nikon, Canon, whatever I was shooting. And a guy came up to me at the wedding. He was like, so why'd you put tape over the logo? I go, so I don't have random conversations about photography with people I don't know. And I said it with a straight face and then just walked away. And in my head, I'm laughing my ass off.
Is that the real reason you did it? Or
no, I saw somebody do it on like YouTube or something. Like they put the, not letting other people know what you shoot with, something like that. So I thought, I've got some gaffer tape. I threw it on the front of it for fun. Your wit matches like my shop talk wit. Like people go out of their way to try to like one up me at work, and they can't do it because I'm too quick. Right. And that gives me a run for my money on quickness. Yes, so I don't have to have random conversations about people. That's great, dude. I love that. Yeah, I've been told at photo shoots I'm really good at roasting people, but in a good way. Yeah. That was a financial team. Because, there's times I'm like, I don't know your name, but like this guy, he went to Rutgers, so I called him Rutgers. Hey, Rutgers. Things like that. And that's none of it's ever to be mean. Yeah. But still keeping it light and playful, getting some cool stuff. So. Yeah, it's all in good fun. Whenever I get to like digging on people and stuff like that, it's like I'm not like calling you ugly or worthless or anything like that. Like I'm calling you something funny. Right. And so there's no like malice in it ever. Like if there's malice, I'm not witty and funny. Mm-hmm. Like whenever I'm like really, really pissed off, there's like mother effers and POSs and SOBs and stuff like that. It's not, Getting to the main topic today, people don't want to learn correctly. Now, we didn't go into like, you chose that topic from like a list that I had. Seemed interesting. I know that we have had similar experiences on this, but we don't exactly have a particular list of things of what that actually means. Right. So if you could like share with me like an experience of like people not wanting to learn like correctly. Like I see a lot of like trends of like everybody doing the exact same thing. And to me, that's like an example of like not learning. No. Yeah. If you look, and I've said this, if you look like everybody else, you're a commodity. If everybody serves $1 cheeseburger, whether it's Burger King, Spangles, McDonald's, which one do you go get? It doesn't matter. It's $1. Yeah. And so if your photos are all brown and everybody else's photos are brown and hers are brown and theirs brown, how do you get picked? How do you stand out?
You don't.
You don't. And so that's a choice. You can figure out, what makes you different, which is, it's a fun game. Mm-hmm. You have to figure that out. But what I find, there was a photographer that kept DMing me questions. And I love to help. Like I said, the film guys, how they weren't helpful, I vowed I'd be helpful.
Right.
But there's a point where I will go, you need to go to our workshop, or I can start charging you for, a mentor fee. And they're like, YouTube University is just fine for me. And it's not. The hands-on training you can get if you just attend a workshop or just work one-on-one with someone, you can fine-tune so much. But people just have in their head, I can learn it off of YouTube. You can. But you miss a component of learning when you're actually with someone and they can show you the dials, they can show what the mistakes you're making and help you.
Mm-hmm. I did that. I actually bought I think it was called like Creator Foundry. And it was something, they had like a stupid sale on it or whatever. And it was just like a Photoshop course. And I don't particularly think that I need like a ton of help like when it comes to editing. But I know that there's a step beyond what I currently do that I've never even experienced before. And so I bought this. It used to be like a $700 program, and it was $200 or something. Mm-hmm. And it had some really like awesome photographers that are like well known for their particular looks and everything. And it came with like everything you need. Like it came with a bunch of like assets, right, and different kind of tools and stuff in Photoshop. And where I didn't think that I had a ton to learn for the things I was interested in, learning all the stuff in there, stuff that I'm not really interested in, got me interested in those kind of things. Like things like bringing in like artificial sun rays and like pixie dust and like all of this stuff. It's like I never really thought about compositing in little things like that, but it opened up like a whole new like realm of like fun. And watching people that are literally like known for it is absolutely different than just going on YouTube and it's like some guy is like, today we're gonna show you how to put a moon in the background. It's like, I don't know who this guy is, but this guy over here is like a legit, master photographer, and they're putting their time into this little short series. And so you watch these like 10 videos, and to me, that's like learning correctly.
I loved going to workshops. I've traveled to Dallas. Like when I first started learning lighting in 2008 and 2009, I drove to Dallas 3 times to attend 3 workshops because it was just so in depth, and I was just hungry to learn lighting. I love lighting. And I've attended classes in, Phoenix and Seattle, and, spending a couple days there, stay in a hotel, I will invest in me. Mm-hmm. And a phrase that I've heard and I live by is, if you can't invest in yourself, how do you expect your clients to invest in you?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a big one.
That is that is a huge amount of wisdom. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And I kind of got to the point where there's, like I said, if we're out in the field, like at the meetups, like I'll help people like whenever they ask, or if I'm shooting like a scene, like I set up a scene that looks really good, someone wants to get in on it, go. Yeah. Go for it. Let me get my shots and you jump in on it, because that's a learning experience for them. They might set one up like that next time. But there are certain people that it's like, I can't enjoy the shoot either because you're asking me like everything. And at some point, I have to consider, I'll charge you $50 an hour for you to just follow me around one day. I will set something up and I will literally, you shoot it. I will leave my camera at home and I will guide you through this whole thing. And I will start at square one with the exposure triangle, because it's like, you're asking me so many questions that like, I wonder if you actually know at all. Right. And so why don't we go to square one? But I'm not really willing to coach somebody from square one, because I'm trying to have fun too,
But they were missing a big component. And honestly, I've done this twice in my career, in the bartending world and in the photography world, where I mastered what I was doing. So again, I always reference my tip jar because at the time there was no money in it. But I was very mechanical. I looked at the glass. I looked at the bottle. I looked at the jigger. I looked at the pop gun to make sure I'm pushing Coke and not Dr. Pepper. When I quit looking and I'm having a conversation with the client in front of me and I'm making everything, my tip jar started filling up. In photography, once I learned my camera, what is the AV-TV button on top? What is ISO? What is the difference in lenses and all that? All of a sudden, what happens is your creativity kicks in.
Yeah.
The analogy that everybody gets that I will tell them is that when you drive your car, when's the last time you looked down to actually use the brake?
Yeah, like never.
Maybe day one.
Yeah.
Just make sure you don't hit the gas and go through the garage door because your dad's trying to, teach you to drive.
Yeah.
Whatever. But that's the thing is you're driving this big, heavy metal machine from point A to point B. You're fiddling with the radio. You kicked it into gear without even looking to see what, you're in D. You don't need to look.
Yeah, you already know.
You know how much gas you use. You know how much brakes. But the thing is, because you're driving, you're thinking creatively in your head. You may be on the phone talking about something. You may write some notes down, even though you're still driving a car.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You're on autopilot. When you get to autopilot in photography, how you hear, what you see, what you feel in your heart translates more. So I highly encourage people to learn the camera.
Yes.
As mundane as it sounds, like, well, what's ISO? What's shutter speed? Learn it.
Yeah.
Learn your camera as much as possible. Just like driving a car, you will discover a whole nother world that kicks in. And you're like, how did I see that? But it's because you felt it.
I can literally operate my entire camera with my eye in the viewfinder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this. Like I know how to get to my ISO and everything like that. Like
Absolutely.
I never accidentally hit like the record button. It's it's second nature. But that's because I shoot all the time. And if you want to learn photography correctly, you have got to get out and shoot. Mm-hmm. You can't wait for like other people to, even if you like shooting people, you've got to go out and shoot leaves and sticks and bullshit. You've got to get out and shoot. But it's just like you said, like if you don't know your camera, then you're going to spend way too much time fiddling and less time finding something.
I see fiddling all the time.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is I started a photo walk group on Facebook. It's been around a really long time. I've been kind of bad because I've been just busy. Mm-hmm. But it's something as simple as like, hey, we're meeting at WSU by the Caterpillar, 6 o'clock, Wednesday. You show up, you can't, doesn't matter. And just walk. Just create some content. And if you happen to go, hey, I don't understand this about my camera, I'll help. Or if there's someone else there that knows their camera, it's a very helpful, because that's what I learned when I was doing that on my own. The whole photo walk thing started because I'm walking down Douglas and people go, I wanted to come. I'm like, all right, fine. I go, this is about me, right?
Yeah. Something else. I don't know if this is kind of like, it's almost like a side effect. Like if you spend too much time actually not improving. And I actually had to look this up and I had to write it down because I've heard this a billion times, but I've only just figured out exactly what it is, and I see it all the time, and it's the Dunning-Kruger effect.
100%.
Have you? So you know what that is?
All right.
It pervades the photography space. I think more than any kind of hobby that I've ever seen. And I see it on my YouTube channel all the time. People are like, well, you could have had better leading lines, or I feel like that this might be a little over edited or whatever. And then I'm like, where can I find your work? And then they'll send me their Instagram, and you go, and it's just apps. And I don't like saying that a photographer's work is crap.
Right.
First of all, it's all subjective. But if you're going to be a jerk, I'm going to judge you like an art critic.
Right.
Right? And if your work is crap, absolute crap, then you're obviously suffering from the Dunning-Kruger effect.
100%.
You literally think that you're better than everybody, and it's literally at most it's base level. Well, the Z30, of course, overheated again, and while it's not super comfortable in here, it's definitely not hot enough for that to want to die. So you're talking about people chasing likes before the Z30 got too hot.
Sure. So something I just learned a long time ago is if you're blazing your own path, you may be doing something weird in your photography. It's only weird because someone else hasn't seen it yet. So you got people going, well, what if these lines were straighter? What if you did this? And you've got to ignore all that. Mm-hmm. And the likes are just pats on the back. I mean, my mom will like everything I post.
Oh, sure.
Whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if I valued that, I'm not saying I don't value it, but I don't rely on it, that it doesn't change. It doesn't help my course if I focus on that, because I want to beat to my own drum. I want to figure out, if you're zigging, I want to zag.
Yeah.
I want to be just either one step off, right or left, be going down my own path. And there's a kind of a funny scene from Batman when Jack Nicholson played the Joker before he became the Joker. He's standing in front of a mirror and they're getting ready to go out and it's not going to be 100% perfect, but I'll just tell you how I remember it. Is, you know, he's straightening his tie. She comes up behind him. She goes, "You look nice." He goes, "Thanks. I didn't ask." And that's kind of, that was my attitude for the longest time about my photography. And it's not that I didn't appreciate people asking, but I just didn't rely on it. And I have seen photographers where they created an incredible photo and it got tons of likes and they're struggling to recreate that again because they got that dopamine hit of everybody loving their shit all of a sudden.
Yeah.
That's not you shooting from the heart. That's you trying to appease your dopamine level.
Yeah, for sure. I noticed, talking about like chasing likes, that I used to like the orange and teal look in like some shots. Instagram killed orange and teal forevermore for me. I literally, and what I did was I flipped the script on that whenever everybody was, and like I got away from like the kind of stylized look for like a really long time because it's like I was feeling like the orange and teal kind of grading, you know? I was feeling that for a while. And then Instagram killed that. And so I literally did the opposite. And what do you do whenever you get tired of that? I got hooked on Black Paris for a while. You know, the pulling back everything except oranges and a little bit of yellows. And then that got super popular. And then you could buy, I mean, they were all over. Everyone was selling a preset pack of like Black Paris. And by the way, if that's all it is, I'm going to save you guys some money. All you have to do is desaturate everything but a little bit of orange and a little bit of yellow. And that is Black Paris. Now, how much contrast you want to add to it is like totally like up to you. But that's all a Black Paris preset is.
So on Facebook, I'll see somebody looking for another photographer to work with them, you know, second shoot a wedding. And they'll say, "You need to look like my style." And I'm like, "Your style looks like a preset."
Yeah.
And so I will say in my own world, your style, your preset is not your look.
Yeah.
Your look is how you shoot from the heart. And I feel that's such a disservice that people don't really fully embrace photography. That it's the way you feel, what you hear, and what you think. You bring that into your photo because I heard this a long time ago as well, is there's a piece of you in every photo you take. And if you're copying someone, if you're mimicking a preset, if your ideas come from something else, I feel like you're just doing photography wrong because you're missing the best part about photography. That's my, could be controversial. Some people will fight me to the death, like, it's my style. Like,
That's okay. They can fight you to the death and you can die on that hill.
Fight me in the comments.
Yeah, fight Darrin Hackney in the comments. Just be aware of his wit. No, you should see.
Yeah, I don't hold back.
I go to battle with people in my comment. They say, "Oh, you should just ignore the comments." Like, my goal is to literally clown you to the point where you delete your comment because it's all engagement. It's like I'm not going to delete it. Every comment helps me. So
Right.
like bring it on. Like, you don't know what you're doing. Be like, would you like to show me what you do? Be like, well, that looks like, you know what? Maybe I'll sell you my presets that aren't for sale. That way your crap can look better, you know? But like, yeah, people like learning incorrectly. There's just like so much that can like go into it. I say learning incorrectly, but it seems like we talked on a lot of different points of people just like not learning at all, like not wanting, and I don't understand that because maybe just not everybody. I don't want to say I'm more passionate about photography than somebody else, but like just me, my personality is whenever I'm into something, I go hard, you know, and I find enjoyment in like figuring out something I didn't know, you know, before.
Right.
Like a lot of the times when I go out and shoot, like I know what I like to shoot, and so it kind of comes out the way that I wanted, and so I actually don't get enough of those things. It's like, how do I fix that? I know how to avoid it next time, but how do I fix that now?
Right.
You know, and I love that in like the photo editing kind of thing. You know, I love editing.
Right.
You know, I love shooting and editing equally. You know, some people like shooting, they're kind of, I hate editing.
Right.
I enjoy them both equally. And so I go hard into it, and I like learning new things, but people learning wrong is, they're also just like not learning at all. Like they're not trying to improve.
Right.
You know, and like, why wouldn't you want to?
I know. That's the thing, that's what I don't get.
Is this your hobby if you don't love it so much that you want to like I don't think anybody can master photography and editing. Like there's just too much. You know, there's too much for like one lifetime. You can master the thing that you like the most, I think, but you're not going to like master the entire art. But it's still something like I still want to. Like I'm realistic, but
if you're wanting to be a hobbyist, fine, keep it at a hobbyist level. Learn what you want to learn. But if you want to make money at this, and you can make money at this, learn. Don't just go, hey, I got a camera, I'm ready to go. I used to hear this in the bar business days. Somebody would go, hey, I've got a baseball bat, a baseball pennant, and some TVs. I'm going to be a sports bar. And I'm like, nope, not even close.
You're not.
Not even close. You will. I already, I just could tell by what they're describing, you will not make it based on the information you. And that's something I used to always say to people. I'm like, why would I hire you? Because I started this back in the bar business days where people are like, well, why would I go there? You know, to your establishment, is it the beer? Is it the food? Is it the music? Why would I go there? And we do this anyway. When you think about going somewhere, why would I go there? There's something that has been answered, and could be your favorite restaurant, your favorite bar, your favorite clothing store, anything. We do this all the time. So why not kind of dial back and go, why would someone hire me for my photography? What am I bringing to the table? And you don't have to answer it out loud. It's just keep it internally and just kind of think about it. And again, I'm going to go back to what is the value that you're adding? Right.
Yeah. I feel like, if I had to put my finger on like one thing, like why people like working with me, is just because I'm just fun. You know? Yeah, my work is good, and like I know my work is good. I know that there's work out there that's better, and I know there's work out there that's worse. You know, my work is what it is, but I'm fun to be around. You know, and that's why I have such a good I shoot with the same people over and over and over and over again. Like they're always wanting to come back and do more shoots.
Right.
You know? And by the way, if you want to learn something really valuable, work on your freaking people skills. You know, that's gonna make your models for your fun stuff do a lot better, and it's gonna make you more money when people are like, he was so professional. You know, he got the work done. The images look great. That whenever people describe like a service, often you hear it's like, and the work was great, but you have all this stuff about you being personable ahead of that. Right. Yeah, really nice guy, hardworking. Images are great. Not images are great, and he's Right. And so there's a whole different thing to be learned there. Like if work on your people skills, and I think everybody can. I mean, you can smell somebody faking from a long way away. If somebody's like fake nice, but you can be professional and be approachable. And then once you're working, then you can just tell people to sit down and be like, I already got the job. I'm here.
Sit down.
Yeah. Sit down, Steve. Yeah. Was it Steve or Steven? Steven. Sit down, Steven.
There's a part 2 to Steven.
Oh, God. Please tell me.
So I went to Emporia to go second shoot a wedding for my friend Z, and with the church, and I started telling her the story about Steven. And she goes, oh, God. And I go, shut the front door. Steven walks in. She goes, what? I go, that's Steven. She goes, no. I go, yeah, look at the camera. Nikon 7200. And so he sits down. She doesn't bat an eye. She goes up to him. She goes, I heard about you. You're not getting up. You're going to stay in your seat this whole time, and you're not going to be in my way. And he's like, where did this come from? Because you got to realize this some random lady, the photographer, all of a sudden knows him.
Oh, Steven, I know you.
It was hysterical. The look on his face, like, what just happened?
Did you guys end up like meeting up? Like, did he remember you?
No.
No?
No.
No idea.
He was such Steven.
Talk about people that didn't learn.
No.
Steven didn't learn to keep his camera at home.
Well, he was like asking me around, like, who's this lady? Why is she like this?
He's still thinking about that to this day.
Could be.
He's like, who is that lady that said she knew me and told me to sit down and not take any pictures?
Exactly.
What's the most common thing you see, before we wrap this up, what's the most common thing you see like with people like, well, I want to ask this first. Do you think people like blatantly don't progress? Like, do you think it's this Dunning-Kruger effect, or do you think it's people's pride?
Lazy.
They're just lazy.
Lazy.
They don't want to put the work in.
Nope.
I tell people all the time, like, learn all the rules and then break them.
Yeah.
Your style isn't going to be, like, your style is, like, I can tell you exactly what my style is. My style is, I'm going to shoot a face through a subframe any opportunity I get, and that's going to be the one that I keep. Like, that's been my thing for, like, the last year. I love subframes, shooting through stairs, and as far as, like, the editing is going to go, it's going to be needlessly sharp, punchy, and that's why I have the most expensive lenses, because I want 3D pop. I specifically shoot for that. I want that micro contrast. It's going to be poppy, it's going to be contrasty, and it's likely going to occur in some kind of subframe, either complete or implied subframe.
Right.
That's my style. Now, subframes are like one of the original rules, you know? But I tell people all the time, it's like, just go, if you want to learn correctly, right? You go out and you learn all the old man stuff. You know, the rule, you go out and you shoot rule of thirds, you know, and then you go out and then you look for leading lines, and then you go and you look for all this. And then just whenever you think you have it figured out, here's how you make everything better. You actually use contrasting colors. And it's real hard, especially in Wichita, to get models to show up in the color that I ask them to.
Right.
They're going to wear whatever they think is cute.
Right.
You know, but I tell people, learn all of that. Learn lighting. What is it? You know, 45 and 45. You know, learn that. Learn all the basics, and then start breaking those rules.
Absolutely.
You just get the basics out of the way. It's boring, but if you learn all these like basics, eventually you're going to start catching things at some point that you haven't even bothered with in years. And then all of a sudden you're going to be like, that leading line is awesome. You know, and you're not looking for it anymore. Right. It's like that. It's like the muscle memory we were talking about with the camera. You're going to do that with like compositional techniques.
You know, honestly, for me, it's my feel. And even though I'm shooting rule of thirds, I'm not looking that it's rule of thirds. It just feels right.
Yeah.
And that's what's...
It just is.
Right. And you talked about leading lines. What's funny is way back in the early days, I was buying magazines at Borders and Barnes & Noble. There was some UK magazine, and they'd always have these little challenges, you know, for the month. And one was like, for a whole month, look for leading lines. The next month was look for reflections, windows, mirrors, mud puddles. And I did it for 30 days. Now I can't turn that shit off. It's just like I can see reflections in everything.
Yes. And that has like a secondary effect where it's like you're not looking for something cool in the reflections, you're looking for like distractions and reflections. It's like just because you trained yourself to pay attention to things that reflect. Every time it rains here in town, like if it happens on a Saturday, I do two things. I take my 51.2 out to shoot water droplets, and then I go downtown to find the water puddles to get the buildings, because the water's always pooling in different places. Yep. And the thing with Augusta is it's not that exciting. Right. But there are certain ways to make it exciting, and the water never pools in the same area as downtown because the bricks are always messed up, you know? Right. And so you get like stop signs, you know, and if you can get it, if the water puddle is just in the right spot, you know, you can get the stop sign right here in frame and then get it in like the water puddle too. I absolutely love that stuff. I never used to look for that stuff until I like... And I'm not saying this just because we're like on the podcast. I legitimately forced myself to grind through that boring stuff. And if anything else, it clearly made my eye more interesting. Because people on YouTube say all the time, like, I'm amazed by your ability to find the things to shoot that you shoot. I'm like, it's really easy. Like whenever I've gone to the group meetups, whenever everybody else is shooting something, I'm not shooting that. And then I'm the only one that saw the cool spider web with the leaf in it that's hanging off of this pipe that doesn't get used. Right. Me doing all the boring stuff really did train my eye to see the things that are actually interesting.
But that's the fun thing, that tying all this back in together, to be hired, they're hiring you because the way you see the world.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Yep.
Because you don't see the way I see. Photographer A, photographer B, you don't see the way I see the world, which is fine. It needs to be that way.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's not the camera in your hand. It's not the lighting you have. It's none of that. It's right here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... And I guess the a final good note on people like learning incorrectly, if you're doing the same thing for a long time, that's not necessarily that you're not interested in learning. It's just you've kind of stopped. At some point, you kind of have to take that leap of faith, and you have to try to start doing your own thing. And... like I promise you, the viewer, if you branch off and start doing your own thing and you focus on doing your own thing, eventually you're going to find something that's kind of like, maybe not, I'm not saying you're going to invent something new, but you're going to do something that it really feel like this is like what defines me. Like, you know, this is like my thing. You're never going to get there if you're just ripping off other people's presets all the time. You're not going to do that if you're shooting everything that you see on Instagram or not paying attention to the old guys when they give you a little piece of wisdom. Just put it in your pocket. You know, take that. You don't have to ignore it because they're old farts, you know, or the guys that are trying to help and you're just like, oh, I'm going to do it. Just put it in your pocket, you know.
Do what makes your heart happy.
Yeah.
I will always say that.
If you get to a point where you're like, well, doing this, I know you think my images look boring, but this is what I like, I'll eat my words. I'll eat my words, you know. Just don't be arrogant about it. You know?
Well, you can. Get.
Sit down, Steven.
Sit down, Steven.
Well, guys, I think that's a good place to wrap up this episode of the Image Circle podcast. Darrin Hackney, why don't you tell the camera where the people can find you?
So I've branded my name. So it's DarrinHackney.com is my website. Darrin Hackney on Facebook. Darrin Hackney on Instagram. The only place I wasn't smart enough is Snapchat, but that's okay. No one's over there.
That's a fact.
But yeah, I've just basically used my name. I want it to be where you heard my name, just go look for me. Now I am so Darrin with an I. I was named after Darrin from 𝑏𝑤𝑗𝒆. Apparently my mom liked the show. So
fair enough.
It's all good. But yeah, so DarrinHackney.com.
All of that will be in the description box below, so you can go check out Darrin Hackney. But for now, I'm Z Wade, the Z Wade, and Z Wade Photo. Stay sharp, YouTube.